I looked at Paul's 13 letters in the Bible and I made an image for each one of his letters. This idea when Christ said to his disciples he wanted to make them fishers of men. I have a black man, a white man, an Asian woman, and a Latino woman, all casting out lines, and they're pulling people literally from the streets. People seen this piece, they've always said that it looks very, very painful. And I said, salvation, that's a pretty heavy thing. You're dying of something that you were doing, that you were fixed to, and you're being reborn, into this new thing. Something about the physicality of carving the block that always captivated me, to be able to draw your image onto the surface of the block and to then be able to cut and remove the negative space around the positive lines, rolling up with ink paper on top, running through a press. And now I'm not just working for the one, I'm working for the multiple. And I think that that's so true in terms of thinking about my work through an evangelical lens, that I have this ability to make these many originals and I'm able to disseminate them and spread the message that is encapsulated within the works. This is like an old rendering of Toussaint Louverture that was made. I'm working out the structure. Just as this artist made an interpretation, I'm making an interpretation of an interpretation. So it's kind of meta. When I tint it, I can see everything I cut, everything I didn't cut yet. This one, I put a tinting of green on it. So you see everything I cut and you see everything I have left to cut. I started working here at the Muscarelli Museum of Art at William and Mary. And William and Mary is the second oldest university in the United States. 1693, this institution was founded. One of the things that I was called upon was creating an art piece and looking at William and Mary's past. One thing that we found out in this historical past is that this institution once upon a time owned enslaved people that cooked the food, that washed the clothes, that built the buildings. And many of them died on this campus doing that work, and they didn't have grave markers for them. There were some names on the books that students found. And then one of the names that stood out to them was a guy named Mr. Lemon. And so I make this piece and I called it Lemonade, which plays off of Mr. Lemon, but it also plays off the idea of, well, if the world gives you lemons, then what do? You make lemonade. You don't stop. And so I did that because I'm also alluding to the African turned American that used this ingenuity in the face of calamity, and they were able to make a way out of no way. 1967 was the first African American students to live on the campus. It was 3 women. When you begin to think about the history, it's like, wow, there's a lot of years go by before you have a person to be able to live in the ecosystem. And so I come around here in 2018 on this campus, I'm fully aware of the history. I wouldn't be sitting right here right now talking to you 200 something years ago, 300 years ago. It is a privilege and an honor that I'm sitting on this campus and I'm sitting upon the shoulders of people who have laid it all on the line in order to make space for me. So therefore, there's a responsibility that I carry with me to go forward. This is my stylized representation of the 3 women. And I purposely made them black and white because when you turn that corner, I don't want you to miss them. And then I put the color behind them. They'll act as a projector off of them. And then this talks about William and Mary's past. If you look at the reflection, it creates a cross. The labor within the field, but then the Holy Spirit wrapped around her as she dances, inside that space. One portion of it talks about William and Mary's past, and then the central part alludes to the 3 women, and then the left part alludes to the space of the imagined future. Because I believe not only is the artist truth sayer, but the artist also can point us in a way in which we could possibly go. The artist becomes visionary, and we can begin to create the world and show us what we could look like. The labor that I do in terms of the work is hard, it's time consuming, it's tedious, but it's worth something because it's something that's far greater than me. I'm continuing to give voice to the voiceless. I'm continuing to give voice to those things that will be put into the recesses, that will be put into the background, things that we will forget and think is insignificant, where they are very significant. And I do not want us to forget those lives. I was asked to create a sculpture. I created a Sankofa bird, which is a mythical bird coming out of Ghana, Africa. It is a bird that's moving forward while looking back. It sounds irresponsible, but it's very responsible because it knows that those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So look back in order to understand where you've come from as we move forward. We have this day to go forward. We have this day to imagine who we could be as one collective body.